yeah, this is the podcast that turns the health and wellness industry upside down so you can be your healthiest inside and out. I'm Dr. Neal Smoller, holistic pharmacist, here with Mark DeCicco of RTD Fitness. We are here with episode number 2, the Holistic Standard. Hi, Mark. How are you, bud?
I'm doing great, Neal. Welcome back. We didn't get canceled after we thought that first episode. We thought for sure they wouldn't have us back, but we're here.
I am fresh off of my European vacation to be discussed on off the record, but I have to say I ate way too much pasta. I don't eat carbohydrates a lot. I think I do the Cheeto diet. It's not really keto, but I try to take simple carbs and just carve them out, unless it's booze and M&Ms. Like, those are the only two exceptions I make. So I don't know if that would be like a pescatarian or
I think it's a moronitarian. Yeah, I don't know that that's a word.
Understood. All right. Well, today's episode is the Holistic Standard. We are going to talk about my methodology for achieving health and wellness goals, and we're going to kind of set the stage and go in depth and talk about a bunch of stuff. So first, I guess we'll start out with a little bit of background. You listened to our first episode, I hope, and understand what we're trying to accomplish. But here's kind of the whole story. So let's begin. I'm a real life practicing pharmacist. I think a lot of people understand that already. And I own a community pharmacy, and I've owned a bunch over the years. And my current store is in the most famous small town in the world, I would say, Woodstock. I mean, we were in Bruges and talking about Woodstock, and people knew exactly what it was. In fact, I was in Venice and bought a Woodstock t-shirt while I was there, $12, cheaper than any t-shirt I could have gotten in Woodstock. Not knocking my friends.
Wow.
But I'm just saying, like, I had to go to Venice.
Hurting the local business.
Yeah, I don't know, like $35
That's
for
expensive.
a t-shirt. Yeah. But anyway, so I've noticed a problem over the years. We've talked about this. People are trying to make the best health decisions, but they're getting lost in the mess and the chaos, as we said last time, right? Everything's overwhelming. There's too many options. They don't know where to start. There's too many products. There's too many protocols. You got to do this, you got to do that. And there's too many people, right? Too many experts weighing in on everything, and they all have an opinion about how it's got to be done right. And, here we are, the two of us, doing the same thing, but whatever. We'll help you navigate that. There's a lot of noise, right? And the big thing that I hear from patients is how the advice seems to conflict. It's like constantly, eggs. Do I eat eggs or do they cause heart attacks? Do I drink milk or is that going to kill me, right? And it's just like this back and forth between what seems to be industries not making their mind up versus science changing or how the scientific media is reporting things, right? And there's this interesting part to my business where there's like an inherent almost hatred, if you will. It was definitely a visceral reaction to conventional medicine, right? People that want to be healthy, that are looking for wellness, often hate big pharma, or they hate medicine. They hate drugs, right? In fact, just today, a scene from The Apothecary, a patient had neuropathy, and she was using a new medication for it. And she literally, the only reason it was working, maybe she had some side effects because it's a new medication. Totally understandable. She wasn't worried about that. She just didn't want to be on it because it was a medication, even though it was solving her problem. Right.
Wow.
And that was just because of that bias. Right. And, we have this belief that doctors are just kind of, you go to see your doctor, they don't talk to you about any of this stuff, and they're just trying to hawk pills at you. Right. And medicines are toxic. In fact, I think we mentioned this on the Big Mouth Pharmacist, but even how these charlatans in the wellness industry talk about medicine, they make it as if they're toxic, right? They say pharmaceutical drugs instead of saying medications, right? But they don't say that the supplements that they're recommending are pharmaceutical, unregulated, unsafe, unproven. They don't say those things, but they of course make that bias. And so it's in the language of that people are using this bias. And the big thing that I try to shine a light on is that because of those things, the overwhelming nature, all of this different stuff, the wellness industry, the natural products industry, I don't even think it should be called that, creates this picture of good versus evil, where the conventional medicine is the evil, they're the devil, and the natural, quote, because it's got natural in the name, right? That's the clearly better option, right? The other thing I noticed, which is really kind of I think this is closer to my actual mission, is relating to these people. There are some people that they feel that this holistic, natural approach to things, there's something a little effed up there, right? Like there's something wrong with it, right? Is it just snake oil?
It can't possibly work. Like it's too easy. It's too simple an answer.
Right. And are these people just hawking? Are they just trying to sell me something? Right.
Same as the other guys.
Right. Exactly. Right. And so my answer is, yeah, absolutely. They 100% are. The wellness industry got really, really great at convincing people that of things that just aren't real. Right. And the products aren't natural at all. They're actually far from it. They used loopholes in weak regulations to give people the complete opposite of transparency, whatever that word is. That opaque? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
I was not good in English.
Oh,
I don't
that sounds
speak
right.
English.
Well,
And so, but anyway, they use this lack of transparency to sell you products that at best won't do anything, but at worst could have bad stuff in it and do bad things to you, right? We talk about this a lot. Heavy metals. They could have synthetic drugs in them. They could have contaminants that are left over in the processing of the stuff, like solvents, like hexane. Could you imagine, like, I'm taking my turmeric with hexane? Like, do you think people would be up for this, right?
No.
And so the other thing that they convince you that we're in some sort of fake war, right? So this natural pharma thing, like those are the two, they just want you to think that, the opposite of irresponsible medication use is irresponsible supplement use, right? And the big thing people should take home when they hear this kind of messaging is that they're the same, okay? I have on my website something that's been cited by numerous other websites and, like gurus alike, the 14 mega corporations that own your supplement brand. So most supplements are made by mega corporations that are mostly pharmaceutical companies, if not like heavy duty investment firms. Like there's big supplement brands that are owned by Nestle, right? And so Nestle is this big company. They don't have great corporate ethics, right? There's like Saudi nationals that fund a number of supplement companies, right? So it's not this natural versus pharma thing. It's all the same. It's really kind of creepy in a way how they're kind of selling this bill of goods, right? And so for me, I think that we're all at this fork in a road between the paths that are here that are created by the same mega corporations, right? Billion-dollar industries. The conventional medical industry is flawed. I'm not going to be the person that doesn't say that, right? There's a big problem. The other industry is this quote-unquote natural industry, the wellness industry. They're the same problem, right? And so we don't have to choose either path. We don't have to believe this fake war. There is a new path that will get us to our wellness goals that uses the best of both of those devils. Neither are angels. And it's a path to true holistic health. And it's the way that you can actually live a longer, healthier, happier life. And for me, like, it's good to make people healthy, right? But you could get hit by a bus. So today, if I could save you some money and save you some headache and let you know that you've got the right answer and you're not wasting your time and resources, that's a good short-term goal for me,
Yeah,
right?
and that's how I feel about stretching. I talked in the first episode about the importance of flexibility and it being a key to longevity in life, and that's been proven 800 different ways. But that's the piece that I think people get caught up on is everybody wants to do it now and have the results right away and get that instant gratification. And so what you're describing, the path that you're laying out, is a long-term life path. And so fitness is a similar thing. Nutrition is a similar thing. These are building habits and life skills that include the understanding that your wellness journey isn't, I'm going to take this medicine or this supplement. It's combining those things the way you're describing. It's taking the best of that and taking that information, synthesizing it, putting it together, and making it work for your body, for what you have going on. Everybody is different, but there are very common things that all of us can do that are accessible, that are effective, and that get you to where you want to be. short term and long term.
Right.
But if you're so overwhelmed by all of this and just hearing us talk about it, like hearing Neal talk about supplements and medicines makes my
fall
head
asleep,
hurt. I'm
right.
just like, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
It's like exhausting. And so
I'm very boring.
he's super boring but great hair. And I think that's the piece for me, which is we have to cut through the nonsense. We have to have these honest conversations and someone to say to you, you can do this.
I think
you don't think you can, but you actually can, and we're gonna help you.
Stop yelling at me.
I'm gonna. You can do this, Neal. You can do this.
I think one of my favorite things of the past couple years with COVID, somebody said it, that Americans in particular don't want information; they want to be sold something.
Yep.
And so this idea of these industries that have created these kind of monopolies on misinformation, really, and these massive propaganda systems, they've gotten really, really good at playing on our fears.
Totally.
And the idea that we want this instant gratification to try to just sell us stuff. And, to bring COVID into it, since the beginning of COVID, I've been shouting from the rooftops, you do not need a supplement to prevent COVID. That's not how it works. You have to do the other things. And despite that, my closest patients that listen to, hang on every word that I say, still bought zinc and they bought vitamin C and they bought all that stuff. And because there is this programmed response in us to engage with these systems in that way. And what I want to do is I want to break that thought process, and I want to make good on the broken promises of the health and wellness industry.
And for me, it's the same thing with my fitness company and my fitness approach, which is making accessible exercise routines for people's bodies based on where they are, individual. And
right,
so
because if
we're selling people Pelotons. And
yeah,
the people in
that's what I was just
you
gonna
see
say.
Chris Maloney naked in a Peloton commercial, which is hilarious.
I have not seen anybody
It's hilarious.
naked.
It's hilarious. Chris Maloney's naked in the thing.
Who's Chris Maloney? Is this one of your friends?
No, he's the Law and Order guy. You don't know who Chris
Law
Maloney
and
is?
Order?
Yeah, he's the Law and Order
What
guy.
are we talking about?
SVU guy.
He's an SVU?
Yes, he's the bald guy who's got the
I don't know what's going on anymore.
Harskate, Merska Hargate.
Dun, dun.
Dun dun. It's the same thing. So this naked guy, he's walking around doing the Peloton commercials, and
Is
it's
he
hilarious.
literally naked?
Yes, he's naked the whole commercial. My Vinny Pione, shout out to Vinny Pione, Saugerties native, filmed the commercial. It's a great commercial. It's hilarious.
Why is he naked? Can we
He's
not
making a
skip
point.
past that?
No, that's how he works out, and so it's part of the joke. It's hilarious. He's doing it in comedy. The point I'm trying to make is
Jesus.
it's not about Christopher Maloney being naked, although our female listeners are probably enjoying this discussion. What I'll say is,
You have people stretch naked?
no.
Okay.
What I'm trying to say is that is unattainable. Like you see Christopher Maloney, who's in a cut up dude, and you say, I immediately am not going to buy a Peloton or do any of these exercises because I don't look like this guy. So for me, it was really important for me to see guys my size doing body weight exercises to know it was possible for me.
Right, when you were 400 pounds.
When I was 400 pounds.
Right.
And so now I'm not 400 pounds, but I still have that same mindset, which is if people can see that it's possible, in the same way people can come to you and see that they can meet their health and wellness needs in different ways than what the programming, right? The programming is go out and buy a Peloton. The programming is buy better or cooler or more awesome supplements. That's not going to get you where you want to go.
Yeah,
it's
take
not.
this cleanse, do
It's
this
not going to
thing.
do it.
You
Like
know,
I
it's
see
gonna make
people
you
all
lose
the
weight.
time, and I see people all the time who are trying to lose weight like I've lost weight, and all of the stuff that they try, the cleansing and the juices and the just this and the just that diet and the just the other diet, all of it's whack.
Yeah.
None of it's any good because you're not going to stick with it. You're not going to do it, and you're going to stop after a week, and you're going to feel terrible. And so that is what we want to cut through. There isn't a quick fix for any of this.
Right.
You're not going to take a pill for 30 days. You're not going to do exercise for 10 minutes and feel the results. You're just not. And so we have to be honest about that.
And I think what has to be understood is that there is no one line answer either. And so when I because what I'm going to do next is I want to go through the big questions that we try to solve, right? And there's wrestling going on.
Heavyweight
You probably
battle.
can't hear
It's
it,
like
but
Ric Flair's last match
I
upstairs.
swear, like you used to do
Yeah, I
wrestling.
still do commentary.
Like commentary,
I still do, yeah.
So
Which I
that's
should be doing because it seems like there's a main event happening.
we're going to have to cut that into one of the off-the-record
ridiculous.
conversations,
It's
Mark.
insane. We will.
But anyway, so the idea here is that I want to make sure that we have a system that addresses the problems. So when somebody says to me, I want to be healthy, that's not a one answer. There are three main components to that, right? And so, and those three components are really like questions that I hear all the time. So, one of them is like, what supplement should I use? Well, that's a bigger question, right? So like, what's going on with you? How is the supplement made? What is the data based on the supplement? What is the supplement actually giving you, right? So there's big questions there. So one part of the system is addressing the gap between the academic discussion about, let's say, fish oil and the products of fish oil that you can buy. There is a gap between those two things that we have to address. The second thing is like, so what do I eat? How do I exercise? How do I lose weight? And so this is the idea of how do I do ... in a healthy manner? What is the holistic approach? I go to the doctor and my doctor doesn't listen to me. He just wants to prescribe drugs. I want somebody that's going to talk to me and help, look at my blood work and look at my diet and look at all of that. That's question number two or thing number two that we have to address. We have to come up with a model for holistic care. Right? And have it be based on actual evidence and not just me trying to sell you consults or products or tests or nonsense, right?
Yeah.
And the third piece to this is how to make change happen. The thing that we've alluded to a bunch is that most of this is really about behavioral change. It's all in your head, right? Mark is knocking. You're going to hurt yourself. Please stop.
I was told to not tap on the table, so I'm tapping on my head.
Poor
Just
Dana.
as hard. Poor Dana. She's going to be tired of us by the end of this.
Right.
She's sick of us already.
So it is not so if I say to you, you've come to me and I've like totally torn apart your diet and you have to eat this kind of organic chicken and then you need to have this number of calories, and that won't work. And in fact, most of the systems that do create even temporary change in people are simple. Eat this cookie. Stop eating fats, right? They're simple, but there's a mechanism to actually implement lasting change in people slower, right? Yeah. And so the three components of what I call the holistic standard, the new standard for holistic care and supplement quality, answers those three questions. That's what the system does. So about supplements and supplement quality, a model for true holistic care, and the third piece being this change. How do we actually get stuff done and make it last? Because that's the big problem is like we can make, you were just saying you went to Florida and listen, you're post gastric bypass and you work your face off, but then you just ate
I ate like a maniac person and I felt great. And I did that too in COVID. Like I was like not feeling well. I didn't have COVID at the time, but I didn't feel well. I just ate a bunch of Stewart's ice cream for a week and it was incredible. I did it for a week.
More chemicals in there than a swimming pool.
I sweat because I have this dumping syndrome from my surgery.
Dumping syndrome?
Should we have
No,
that's what it's called. And so what happens
should we have toilet paper ready?
Well, what happens is if I have fried foods or if I have too much concentrated sugar, read ice cream.
Yeah.
If I have those things, I can tolerate them for about an hour. And then my body is like, WTF, bro. And it just starts like sweating profusely. And so, and I get like, it's hot and it's gross. I feel terrible. But sometimes it's worth it. Sometimes I'll say, I want to sweat my face off for this
so I know I
treat
don't.
so that I don't do it again.
Yeah.
And so it reinforces, it's a self-reinforcing thing. And then I go, oh, that's why I don't do that. But, I don't do this perfectly. And I think that the piece that...
You would have had no fun. I went to Bruges.
Ugh.
The fried food there is a whole nother level. The French fries. Ugh. So first off, they have Flemish beef on the French fries with the meat sauce. But then they do... They fry it twice in ox fat.
Yeah, that makes sense.
To make it so it's super soft and then crispy on the outside.
Perfect.
It's unreal.
I would make
I
one
went off
bite
the
into
rails.
that. I would make it one bite into that, and
then dumping syndrome.
The dumping syndrome.
All down your pants.
I would just be dumping in my pants and my face, and I'd be sweating. It's awful. So I don't do this perfect. Neal is
far from perfect.
What a nightmare scenario. And it's just hair alone. We're going to get into that. But this is not about perfection here, folks. It's not about a perfect cure. It's not about the one way to do this. You're going to mess up. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to find ways to not do these things that we're going to tell you are very simple. You're going to find excuses for why it doesn't make sense for you to do them. What we're here to say and cut through all that nonsense is you can absolutely do these things. And if you take these three approaches and you look at these three different quadrants and you say, okay, these are things that I can look at and I can approach individually and then collectively, you're going to see results. And it doesn't have to be done every time perfectly. It can be done in slow build up. It can be done in ways where you're trying these things out. A little trial and error is good. People ask me all the time, what kind of exercise is good for me? It's the kind you're going to do. I have a friend who lost 100 pounds walking, just body weight walking. That was it. All he did was walk. He lost 100 pounds. He didn't change much of his diet. He walked.
Right.
And so I'm all about what's going to work for you. If you don't get up in the morning ready to go, then you're not going to work out in the morning.
Yep.
I get up in the morning and I need to work out. That's my schedule. If I say to Neal, work out at 5 in the morning, he's going to have dumping syndrome in his pants and he's not going to be able to figure it out. It doesn't work for his life. So again, we're about practical approaches to these issues, not just go do it, not just work out, not just eat right, not just take a supplement. That's not going to get you there. We can give you all that info. That's just on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
It's not going to get you to where you want to be. That change piece is so important.
So we're reviewing this methodology primarily to kind of set the stage so people understand where their head should be at when they are engaging with the wellness industry, but also because the goal of the podcast then is to support people on the journey using the holistic standard. And so there are like 4 main pieces to what we're going to do here beyond like this accessible stuff that we keep repeating, right? So the first thing that I'm trying to do in my life is reclaim this word holistic. A lot of people, when you say holistic pharmacist, people's heads explode. Because how could you be holistic and then promote medications? How could you be holistic and say COVID vaccines are good? It's because the word holistic doesn't mean anti-medicine. It's because the word holistic means whole being, right? And the a more interdisciplinary approach, looking at all of the possible things. Somebody comes to me and says, I want something natural for sleep. And I said, well, the most natural thing is camping. And their heads explode because they want to follow the route. And then you're a pharmacist and you're just trying to give me Ambien anyway, right? So certainly we want to reclaim this word holistic. The second thing that I guess, like, if I could take the second, third, and fourth thing and put it into one kind of catchphrase, when it comes to your wellness, you want it to be simple, smart, and strategic. So simple, I want people off of your products, less people in your life giving you advice. You want to do more and take less. You want it to be smarter in that it's evidence-based. Conversation today at the pharmacy with somebody who wanted to take omega-3, which comes up a lot because it's considered one of my vital 5, and the connection between taking a product and getting the right dose. That's a really interesting thing. A lot of people don't think about that. Oh, I have to have a specific dose of a fish oil. So we want anytime when we interact with supplements, we want to make sure we're getting, or even any of the health and wellness, we want to make sure that it's evidence-based. Mark's not doing specific exercises that isn't proven to be beneficial.
For thousands of years.
Right.
The body weight exercises that I do is stretching that has been done for thousands of years by people smarter than me who have had awesome lives. And so that's what I want for you. I want you to have that same thing.
So we want you to know how much buy-in and energy you should be giving to something based on the amount of evidence that's available for it. That's what being smarter about your wellness journey is. And then the fourth one is the one that I'm tying my wagon to, I guess, is being strategic. So I'm a supplement strategist at heart. I want people to use their supplements in a strategic manner. What's the plan? What's the system? So that way when Bob or Jim or whoever is in your life that has 3-letter words, names, recommends something for you to take, you say, well, how does this fit into my strategy? How does this fit into my plan to know that you're not just grasping at straws or just shopping for something? You have an anecdote about supplements that I think we were talking about one time. I want you to kind of walk us through that because it kind of ties to this.
Yeah, it occurred to me when you were saying that. You were saying sort of people, make decisions about their wellness and their supplement use based on just, standing in a pharmacy and somebody goes, oh, I took this and it helped me with this. And they go, oh, well, I'll just do the same thing. My mom was telling me, we were chatting, and she said, your dad and your uncle, so my dad's brother, who are genetically linked to me, obviously, and they're males in my family who are older, they had all of these prostate issues that, kind of went undiagnosed. And so for that, the doctor, for both of them, put them on saw palmetto. And so my mom was like,
which is a supplement. Mm-hmm.
And so my mom was like, you should probably look into taking that. That was all I needed. And then I just got a random dosage. I don't know if it's even right now as I'm sitting here. I don't even know if it's the right dose. I take it every morning. It was immediately effective, and it's been great for me, and it's really helped me. But it was trial and error. Like, I didn't ask my friend Neal, who's an actual holistic pharmacist, should I take saw palmetto? I just started pouring them in my face. And so how does that fit with the other? Like, I take bariatric surgery vitamins as part of my regimen. So I didn't say, hey, how's this saw palmetto going to interact with the 500 other vitamin things I got to take in a day? I didn't think about it at all. I just said, well, my mom said I should take it, and it helped the other old dudes in my family, so I'll just do it.
And if you think about it, a lot of people make these arbitrary decisions, like it's not really based on anything. And so while, sure, I've recommended saw palmetto before, I also know the other side of things, that if you don't loop your doctor into the idea that you're taking something that changes your body in a way that could be too effective, right? I have the famous patient story that I have is, anytime somebody comes in to get any supplement, specifically ones that work very well, I'll say, make sure you loop your doctor into the conversation because you don't want to mask something bad. And this person did not do that. They took saw palmetto and it masked cancer, prostate cancer, and the patient ended up dying from prostate cancer because he was taking saw palmetto for so long. It had, progressed long enough, and the person died. And so
there goes my saw palmetto plan.
That's a dramatic example.
That is super dramatic
of what the bad could be when we're using supplements. We're arbitrarily starting pharmacologically active things, and we're not even talking about the fact that your saw palmetto brand, I don't know what it is, but it could potentially be contaminated with heavy metals, or it could have pharmacologic agents in there. Some of these companies, in order to make them effective, will put in drugs, and that's big in the sports category, right? So like you see that a lot, all the protein shakes, like, how do I get so big? It's because it's got horse testosterone in there or whatever, right?
I wish they'd put horse testosterone in my
in your
saw palmetto. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, your
That'd
poor
be
wife.
great. Oh man, she wouldn't be ready for any of that. She's already got to deal with all this. I mean, it's too much.
It is a lot.
It's a lot.
I'm glad that it's mostly audio for some people.
Yes, you didn't see the flexing I just did. It was obnoxious.
So I want people, when they're making any health and wellness decisions, to stop making them like we're picking a restaurant on vacation, right? We're not reading reviews on, TripAdvisor.
But that's how people make decisions. Like, I'll go on the internet and go, hey, is this a good idea? And people go, yeah, it's a great idea. If you base your health and wellness around idiots on the internet, like, anybody can have internet. Like, Dana's got internet. Like, everybody's got internet, guys.
I am the smartest person.
You are brilliant. But there's a lot of people who have internet that are actual more. Have you met everyone?
Yeah.
Have you seen do you remember January 6th? People are dumb. And so there's a lot of really dumb people out there. And so that's the kind of thing that we're trying to cut through.
Right. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little commercial break right now, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the holistic standard more in depth, supplement quality standard, the wellness pyramid, and the 1-2-3 vitality system. And then once everybody kind of understands what this is, then we can move on with our podcast and start to kind of augment those conversations. RTD Fitness is a workout community that focuses on accessible bodyweight exercises for all fitness levels. Partnering with other top instructors from around the world, there are daily workouts and archive workouts through Project Mayhem. There's an app for tracking your workouts, nutrition, water intake, and for community support, and so much more. Individual classes can be booked, or VIP access, the best deal in fitness, is available for a monthly charge. Search RTD Fitness on Facebook or go to the link houseoffortune.ca/fitness.html. So here's the big question that I get all the time. It's like, what supplement should I take? And it's either what supplement should I take to help with some health concern, like my gut or for sleep or for my joints, and not the weed joint, Woodstock, like the actual joints in your body. Yep. Or what supplement should I take to be the healthiest that I can be? And my answer is always the Vital 5. That's where we start when we talk about supplements. The 5 nutrients that almost everyone would benefit from.
Snap, crackle, pop. No.
And Mitch. Remember that, Mitch? Yeah, so these supplements are considered vital because we don't get enough from our food, even if we have awesome diets. They benefit multiple body systems, and they have some of the largest bodies of research when it comes to supplements. Those Vital 5 are omega-3, probiotics, bone support supplements, protein, and specifically collagen. I'm on a real big collagen kick lately.
My
and
protein game is huge.
It's on point.
Oh,
I'm glad to hear that.
huge.
And multivitamins, that's the
There
5,
you go.
right? So some people may already be on one or more of these things, but oftentimes they're not the right dose or the form. You know, they take their fish oil, but they're getting 1/10 the dose and spending $20, and they're just not doing anything, right? So I ask people, how does your supplement stack up? Get a no-spin, one-to-one supplement evaluation with the holistic pharmacist, me, Dr. Neal Smoller, and in just 15 minutes, we'll create an easy-to-follow, science-backed supplement strategy that works for you. It's simple. You show us what you got. We evaluate those Vital 5 supplements against a strict set of evidence-based standards, and then you get your personalized Vital 5 checkup. Learn about my Vital 5 or schedule yourself a Vital 5 checkup at drneal.co/Vital5. 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 VITALFIVE. Get 50% off with the coupon code podcast at drneal.co/Vital5. All right, we're back. Here we are. We didn't go far. We actually literally just clicked a button, and then we clicked another button. That was pretty much it. Just letting you in behind the scenes, people.
Wow.
So the purpose of the podcast, again, is to give the best tools and information to tear down the obstacles that the health and wellness industry put between us and our best selves. Very concisely put, I'm sure. We're going to blaze ourselves a new path to true holistic care, and we are going to help you do that by laying out the holistic standard and then kind of, like augmenting the conversation. So what does this mean?
What does it all mean?
What
Neal?
does it
What does all of this mean? Who are these people?
Nutrition, right? So we've talked about it, right? Nutrition is a major component of the model for true holistic care called the wellness pyramid, right? And the wellness pyramid is one of the 3 components of the holistic standard. I know, like I said, there's no one answer. I've never been able to simplify this into one sentence besides I think I have a good answer, right? Like that's the one sentence I would say that we have here. Nutrition is clearly a huge part to your health and wellness goal success, right? We're going to be talking about this a bunch. You won't really need a map to navigate this. We're going to be talking about this pretty much every episode about how nutrition is going to play a big role in your long-term health. But
if you want to take a bunch of supplements and not work out and eat whatever you want, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
And so you can't do that. It just doesn't make sense.
So calories, nutrition science, fads and trends, and how it actually shakes out.
Macronutrients, bro. We got to talk
big mouth-
macros.
Big mouth pharmacists. We talked about which fad diet actually has some science behind it, and and now it's been 2 years, so we can probably reevaluate that based on what's going on. Another one, Mark sitting right here, physical fitness, right? That's another component of the wellness pyramid, and it touches on we're going to touch on a number of topics around getting fitness done properly for you, as Mark's been saying. And so Mark's going to speak to a number of those things. And, there's just so much to talk about. So sleep, mental health, what supplements you should take, a supplement strategy, supplement quality, how to engage with these complex conventional healthcare system things, right? So how do you go to the doctor? I actually have a funny story because in a lot of my conversations via blog and videos and stuff I've done in the past, I clearly am advocating for people to engage with the conventional medical system. I thought the wellness pyramid was making a pretty big statement. The bottom of it is the lifestyle stuff. That's foundational. To be holistic, you need to sleep well, you need to eat well, right? That's pretty clear. The middle, I always made supplements. Supplements came second to those lifestyle things. But on the top, which was very unique for a wellness practitioner, I said you have to go to your doctor. You have to take medicines. You might have to get surgery, right? Yeah. Conventional medicine was always part of it. It was always a small part of it. And I always advocated for that system. And then I had to go to the doctor one time. Whoops. And it almost turned me into a villain. I can totally see why some people take such a strong stance against the conventional medical system. It's a nightmare. It's a effing nightmare.
Well, so imagine navigating the medical system at 420 pounds, and you sit in front of your primary care doctor who says to you, let's talk about stages of change. Okay. You could do little things that would make your life better. Yep. Right. And so it's a little bit like what we're trying to do here, except there's this judgment that comes with that, which is like, if I were just a little bit better of a person, if I were just a little bit better at life, this skinny old woman who's telling me about how I need to be less fat has no practical skills as to how to get me there. She's not talking to me about specifics.
She's never been
fat. And so she doesn't know like how that happens, and she doesn't know how to get out of it. And so I've been there, and I'm here to help anybody, not just gigantically fat people, but anybody who wants to have a good discussion about the kinds of nutrition your body needs to function and not be less fat and figure out how to eat less cake. Like, we all know what foods are good and bad foods, and I hate good and bad foods, so I don't even like saying that way, because any food is fuel. And so we can use that fuel effectively, or we can use it in the worst possible way. So you can fill your tank up with Skittles, and you're going to run like a Skittle machine. And so if that's what you want, you can do that. But like, that only has a shelf life. And so you're not going to make it on any of these individual paths. You're not going to make it very far if you're not incorporating these other pieces. And so I'm very critical of the medical world. But at the same time, conventional medicine gave me the surgery that I needed to get ahead of the game, to help me have the tools that I needed to have the success that I've had. So I haven't been able to do this without conventional medicine. I needed to engage that part of the world in ways I didn't like. And I was treated poorly along the way.
Yeah.
A lot of times. It's not fun, guys. It's not fun.
It's not what you want.
Not.
And unfortunately, but you still kind of need it. It's like, again, a little tangent. One of my new goals in our pharmacy is to somehow figure out this, because we have a lot of people that won't go to their doctor.
Right.
Like, absolutely won't. They don't have a doctor, but they'll do a million supplements from whoever is
said it was a good idea,
charlatans out there that's not doing anything correctly. So we need to be able to give people that reject the conventional medicine, because navigating it is difficult. So, can we get a physician to come to our store to do physicals on people and do blood work at least once a year, if not twice a year? Can we do that so that way they can at least talk to that person for those things that are important, but we can talk to them about the ways to change their health holistically like they want, right? So, so the conventional system is a part of this whole thing. So that is a big component. Mark, what I want to say is that, just to backtrack, because I did kind of go quick over the wellness pyramid, is like the model for holistic care. Somebody comes into my store and says, I have a problem. I can't poop. Which is a very common
more than you realize, right?
Yeah. I can't sleep, right? I have allergies, and this is my favorite example. So somebody comes to me and they say, I want a natural option for allergies. And if I went to the shelf and just blindly gave them something, there's a lot of problems with that. What if in their house, in their bedroom, they have a hole in the roof and asbestos just blows on them all night?
Right.
I've just given them a supplement without considering all of the actual other environmental pieces to this, right? What if they have goats and the goats sleep on their face?
Sure.
All of these are tough questions
real things that could happen,
aren't being asked of people. So
realistic.
We want, whenever we have a problem, we want to solve the problem. We want to kind of go through a stepwise process to say, what are the things that could be contributing to this problem?
Well, and people will say to me, like, I don't have time to work out. And I'm like, well, that's not true. Like, it's what you've told me, and I'm hearing you, but that's not accurate. And so you have 15, 20 minutes to do body weight exercises every single day. You're not going to do that, but you can.
Right.
And so, and if I were to say to you, hey, do 20 minutes of body weight exercise a day, it'll change your life, you're going to not do that and seek other options, like go to Neal and say, I can't sleep. Well, actually, if you worked out a little bit, you could sleep a little bit better. If you drank water, you sleep a little bit. Like, water is something we haven't talked about, but water is, I will die on the hill that is
There's
water.
no need for death.
Water
I
is the
think-
most important macronutrient that exists.
Right. Hydro-homie is what you are.
Totally.
You know.
I love water, and I'm sweating it all out here. In
I
this
just saw
hot
a
studio.
tweet that said that people will be toxic about everything on the internet except for drinking more water.
Sure,
right?
that's the one thing where it's like you better drink water, and honest to God, I will smack anybody who comes to me and has a problem. I will say to them, yeah, I will say you're not drinking enough water. My wife will say I have a headache. You're not drinking enough water.
Right.
Literally, my solution to everything is water. It's water and sleep.
Okay, guys, let's wrap it up.
Wrap it up. Water
Just
and sleep.
Drink water.
Water and sleep. Working out.
But again,
it's
you've brought up a lot
important.
of points. So right, we talked about how sleep is one of the lifestyle domains on the bottom. One of the things that if you improve your sleep,
Yeah.
then you will be healthier.
Totally.
But then there's the problem, well, how do I sleep better?
Right.
And then we have to address all of the components that would make sleep better.
Yeah.
And so if we look at these things, again, nutrition, exercise, sleep, mental well-being, and the exosome, or the environment that we put ourselves in, that's that asbestos blowing in our mouths,
Or the goats on our face.
on our face.
Yeah.
We look at those and say, what are the check boxes that I have to mark off to make sure that I'm doing it well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if we do that, then we know that those things aren't contributing to the problem that we're having. So if somebody comes into me and says that I can't sleep, and they are drinking pints of water at the wrong time, the right before bed, and they're getting up every 20 minutes,
That's a problem.
That's a real problem.
And they're not taking saw palmetto.
and if somebody says that I cannot poop and they're not eating enough dietary fiber, you know, true holistic care involves looking at these variables that contribute to the problem. So then the next move is saying, okay, so we've done those pretty good, but you know, I need some relief now, right? I need something. So I want to use a supplement, or I want to use something to help out. And so the second rung of this wellness pyramid is this idea of self-care, right? And so
But it's a great place to pause. Like just this framework alone, right? Like that first level is, and we use the word accessible, but that's the place where you can come in. It's doable, right? These are the places where you can make active change.
Right.
And you can do it right now without talking to Neal, without talking to me. You can take a true look at those pieces before he ever starts handing you supplements, which is for a guy whose job it is to sell you medicine, to say, I'm going to talk to you about everything but your medicine first.
Yeah.
Is a radical idea, honestly.
I think, and that's the reflex I want you guys to build. When you're listening to this, is like when you're out and about, or you're thinking about your health problems and the stuff that you're trying to solve, it's not about what can I take, it's about what can I do. How do I take the thing that I'm at and take one step back? So when it comes to solving a problem, let's take one step back and look at the lifestyle domains and how they impact you. And then when you're in supplement land and you're taking the supplements, let's take one step back and say, how am I using my supplements? Am I using them strategically? And that's the big part of this second rung, is the self-care. This idea that I can go into a store, I can go into a chiropractor's office, I can go to an acupuncturist, and I can do these things. Well, are we doing them strategically? So I'm going to focus on the supplement part because that's where I'm at. So this idea of like taking only the supplements that have the best data to support them, only taking supplements that actually will impact the conditions and concerns that you have. And then once you've done all that, then you can take whatever other supplement that you want to take, right? So having a supplement strategy, that'll be a whole separate conversation. But as we've said, it's important to have this kind of plan. And then the top is these conventional medical people. How do we engage with our doctors? Like, how do we get prepared to go to the meeting with our physician, and what questions are we asking, and how pushy are we going to get? And the idea of accepting medicine. That needs to be stated over and over again. Somebody comes to me and talks about osteoporosis. What they're saying is, I don't want to take a medicine because I've heard it's bad. I want a calcium. Meanwhile, calcium has never been shown to be beneficial. Vitamin D actually just had a release that it doesn't improve fracture risk, right? And reviewers time and time again have looked at calcium and its impact on bones, and sure enough, it's not going to improve anything for a population. For an individual, it may help out, but for a population, it won't. And that's a whole conversation.
And I'll share a quick anecdote. My mom, I was talking to her about just like,
is this all palmetto again?
No, this is different. It's about her and her mental health, and so like she's very anxious, and so I was like, maybe looking at
Dorothy Mantooth is a saint.
Talking to your doctor about your anxiety might be a good thing to do. And her response was, I don't want to take Valium. And I was like, just the fact that you think people are getting Valium right now, is insane.
Right.
Like, is this 1954? like you don't even know what the medicines are that exist, right? But this bias that exists, right? So if you go to your doctor and you say to them, I'm having anxiety and it's hard for me to function in life. And it could be based on environmental factors. It could just be that
there's a lot of stuff going on.
It's baked into who you are, you know?
Right.
If you go to your doctor and you're already saying, well, I'm not going to take whatever medicine they give me, you're shot. And so that for me is again, another real life example of how this stuff gets tripped up, where you're not even willing to have the conversation with the doctor who could actually maybe help you. Maybe not, maybe not. And but you're already, you're shutting it off before you
don't
even
know
go
how many
there.
times I hear in a day that, what do you have for blood pressure, because I don't want to take a medicine. Now, meanwhile, what they're saying to me is that they want to take a pseudo medicine that potentially could be more dangerous. But again, we have
this anti-medicine.
This anti-medicine, but we also have this pro-wellness or natural product, system that's been, we talk about fake news when we talk about politics these days. Fake news was really perfected by the supplement industry. I'm convinced. 50 years, and now it's like 70 years of propaganda has really baked into, people's, I had a whole episode on vitamin C before and how people just believe vitamin C works because the Linus Pauling Institute put out so much propaganda. People don't trust generic drugs because the makers of Synthroid paid scientists to cook up data to show that the generics didn't work. And so that was in the 70s, and that's still baked into what we have today. And so, there's a lot of misinformation that we need to kind of get through. So the wellness pyramid, those are the three components. This is a model for true holistic care. If you want to solve your problems, you need to do so in a strategic and simplified manner. And this walks you through each of those steps. So if one of our shows will be about sleep, and we'll talk about all those different components and how you can, use this wellness pyramid methodology.
I'm going to tell you, go to bed early, and nobody's going to want to hear it. Everybody's going to get pissed. People are going to call in. We're going to get user emails. The listeners are going to come.
South Park episodes to catch up on.
Oh
I
my
think
God.
you should leave. I got
people are
too much
so
to do.
mad, and the rage that people have when I tell them I go to bed early. The rage.
Yeah.
You should see people's eyeballs when I say, "Hey, I go to bed at 8 o'clock every night." They literally get mad at me, and it's like, how does this impact you?
But
they're so mad at it.
There's actually a word in Japanese, and I'm not too sure what it is, but it's like basically protesting your day is essentially what it is. Like, people stay up at night because they have had to work and do things that they don't like. That they're just so miserable that they want to stay up so they can feel like they've gotten their day back. That's a word in Japan.
My buddy at work is like, if I don't take that time, I get no time in the day. Like, he gets mad, and I'm like, I do that same thing just early in the morning. I get it out of the way because I know myself. And so if I don't do it early, I'm going to make excuses and I'm not going to do the thing I need to do. So if I don't get it out of the way, it's not going to happen. That's how I function. I understand myself. You have to understand yourself and what you need to be successful. And so any plan has to be individualized.
That's a good segue, Mark, actually. So we've talked about supplements and supplement quality and supplement strategy. We've talked about the wellness pyramid just briefly, like how we want to have a plan and it's not just about like, what can I take? It's about what can I do and controlling those variables. So the last component is actually making lasting change in your life. And I said there's no like quick answer to making change, but there is kind of a quick answer. So I call this 1, 2, 3 vitality. That's what I call this. I believe that if we want to go from where we are to where we need to be, it's a 3-step process. Now, these 3 steps are actually very big bins, but it's 3 steps, and this is how you should be thinking about any problem. So the first one is, conquering the chaos. I keep using that term because it's just so awesome. But essentially, where are we, right? So what biases do we have? What are all the things that are weighing us down, standing in our way? Let's take stock of the supplements we have, the medicines we have, the conditions we're facing, our nutrition, and see how much of a mess it really is, if we're being honest, right?
Well, the honesty is the key. If you're not looking at it from an honest perspective, so if I ask somebody, hey, what'd you have to eat today? And they're like, oh, I don't know, I probably had like a piece of bread, and they ate a whole loaf. That's not helping me help them figure out some of their nutritional needs. Right. And so it's honesty. It's a real inventory.
Because then you can really start to make change. So it's kind of like laying it all out. And then I guess, really just understanding the gap between that mess that we all have. I have that. Mark has it. Understanding that gap between the mess and what we would want it to be, right? But that's just step one. We don't want you to actually do much of anything in this phase. Whenever somebody comes to me and has a question about nutrition, right? And I'll say, well, what do you think is a healthy food, right? And they'll start going off on like no GMO and free range chicken and, vegan free fish, or I don't know what the terms are, right? But they'll start throwing out all this high level stuff.
Extreme examples.
And what I said, no, what's a healthy food? An apple is a healthy food.
Sure.
And what makes it healthy, and understanding these basic definitions. And so in these early stages, in this first stage, it's about taking account and then getting an idea, moving towards what we want to be optimal. So in phase one of this conquering the chaos, I want you to know that you don't eat enough chicken and that you need to eat more chicken. You can technically, in this phase, eat gas station chicken if you'd like, as long as you go from eating no chicken to eating chicken. But if you're eating gas station chicken already, then the next increment would be not eating gas station chicken and instead eating a slightly higher quality chicken. I don't need you to go to the local farmer's market and pick out the chicken you're going to eat and then draw blood work on the chicken to make sure that the chicken has all the hormones. Right.
Yeah.
I don't need that. That's not what we need when we're doing nutrition. It's just understanding where we are and what steps will get us towards that better place.
And what a perfect example of extremes. So it's another example of how we take these things that are basic, simple ideas, and we make them more complicated because we don't believe that it's true.
Well,
that
I mean,
it's a simple solution.
It's what the narrative is too. Like everybody talks about, optimizing. It's like the nerds have taken over the conversation, right? Yep. I'm all for somebody like you nerding out on every little detail about the most efficient way to exercise. But as you said, that's not what works for everybody. What you just have to bend over, right? You just have to learn how to
consistently bend over. If you legitimately squat a bunch of times, you're going to get better at squatting. If you bend forward,
it doesn't matter that you're doing box squats and goblet squats, and you don't have to do all. They just need to do a squat.
There's so much discussion in the fitness industry about form, and it's true if you're lifting weights and you're like going to do something dangerous. Form is extremely important. You could really hurt yourself.
Right.
When it comes to body weight stuff, any movement that you make that's a part of your range of motion will benefit you directly.
Especially the farther you are from healthy.
Sure. But even then, it's like I worked harder as a fat person. As a wildly obese person, I had to work harder than I do today. That's a real thing because my body works better now. And so it's more efficient. So it doesn't require the same level of commitment that I had to have at the front end.
Right.
So that in itself is kind of a mind screw, right? Like that messes with your brain because you've had to change all of this already, and then you got to change it again. And so all of this is taking accurate stock of where I'm at the moment. And that's what Neal's asking here in this first, like looking at it at every stage, honestly about what am I actually putting in my body? And is that something that's benefiting me?
Right.
Or is it taking me further away from where my stated goals are?
Right. So in step one, we're not saying that you need to eat 1,200 calories and you need to make sure that you have these macros. We're not even thinking about that. We're just saying you need to eat more frequently and you need to. And so then the next stage is where we start to incorporate these more rigid goals. This is like the climbing the pyramid phase is what I say. This is where we look at that wellness pyramid and we say, okay, so for nutrition, these are your goals. We want you to lose weight and like this is a realistic goal. And we start to put in these kind of controls. We start to up the quality of the things that we're engaging with and we start to do more. And the reason that they're split up like this is because this journey, this thing is about behavior and things don't become habits overnight. So I would much rather you take 3 weeks, which is about the time it takes to really build a habit and just again, eat that gas station chicken 4 times a day.
Just log it.
As long as we're keeping track, we're taking stock, we're being honest, and we're moving in the better direction. And then we can worry about that more advanced stuff later. So,
I think people are like they use MyFitnessPal the wrong way, and apps like that the wrong way because they perseverate on it and they get stuck on. I got to hit this number. I got to hit these goals. I got to hit this thing.
Or I'm failing.
Or or I lose. There's it's like a video game component. Like if I don't get my circles or my thing, it's like, bro, calm down. And especially for people who were like in my position where I was so overweight and so unhealthy, I want to be all right now.
Right.
And that's
It took you a long time to get that fat, you know?
And it took me a while to get here. And
Yeah.
so it wasn't overnight. And I think that's the piece that I think people are going to struggle with here when we have these discussions, which is they want to skip from that first stage of like, well, what's the inventory on this, to like, show me how to eat correctly. If I don't know how you're eating now, and I don't get a good 3 weeks to 4 weeks of your meals, I am not going to be able to help you figure out where the problem is, because I don't know where the issues are. And if you're not logging it accurately, who are you lying to?
Right. I mean, I teach entrepreneurs how to run a business, right? And they have the same thing. They want to skip to year 3.
Right.
They don't want to do the hard things in year 1 and before and 2 and 3. So, I mean, it's a human behavioral thing. And this is where understanding the gap and building the habits, then starting to implement slowly the things that would accomplish the goals. Then in this last phase, it's optimize and thrive, right? This is for the nerds. And I tell people straight out, you won't get here. I only put it in there for the real diehards, the people that are like, I'm already super healthy. I'm already doing everything. Now I want to make sure I'm doing it perfectly. And I have to be honest, like, a B+ in life is
incredible,
way better,
and
like
God.
It's going to increase your lifespan,
everything,
and it's going to be a lot easier to do than. But again, like, you know, we went to Denver, and I was actually Boulder, and we climbed Pikes Peak. And I couldn't even drive it because I was so out of shape. I was getting lightheaded. Yeah. And we're on the top of the mountain, like hunched over, ready to throw up because we're just out of shape. Yeah. And there's dudes jogging up there, right? Yeah. So those guys are the ideal optimizers that are trying to like get into that optimize and thrive thing and nerd out. And we can help them. Yeah. But most people, if we're being honest, don't need to be there and should not think like those people. It's really about getting out of that first phase and then really just climbing that pyramid and doing those repeat behaviors and somehow figuring out for yourself how you make it not boring. And whether that means just repeating the cycle, as you and I were talking about, I just went to Europe and I ate way too much, cashew pepe, right? Yep. So like I just had too much carbonara sauce with the pork cheek, and like it's bad, right? Yeah. So now I have to reset and restart and rebuild, and so.
Which is really hard, especially for guys like me who have extreme behavior issues, right? So I'm an extreme person. I'm an all or nothing person. So for me, if I have a week where all I do is eat Stewart's ice cream, in my head, I'm like, well, now all I am is the guy who eats Stewart's ice cream forever. That's not realistic, right? But in my head, it's like, well, now I'm there. Yeah. So I might as well give up on the whole thing and go be 400 pounds again. Like, that's insane. That's insane, right? Yeah. But if you don't understand your brain well enough to know that that's who you are, you're not going to be successful in this. Right. And you're not going to have an honest conversation about where you're at. And so that's what we're trying to get to here, which is this is not something you're going to be successful at all of the time, but if you do it enough of the time, you're going to feel the results. And that's the part for me. Not just that it's going to be an effective strategy, but it's one that you're going to feel good about. And you're going to feel like as you're going, you physically feel better. That was for me what kept feeding this thing, which was at every stage, even when I was still uncomfortable or having trouble, my body felt better. And the flexibility gains, the strength gains are incredible. And for me, I wasn't just going to lose weight and then just be like a sloppy, like in shape-ish guy. I needed to lose the weight and I needed to build muscle and strength and flexibility. And so that was a choice that I made. Other guys have the surgery or women, everybody has a surgery, and they don't necessarily focus on the fitness component of it. And you can see the difference. And so I didn't want to be like super sloppy in my body. I wanted to feel strong. And so I made choices about how I worked out so that I could feel that way. And so that's what we're trying to do here is help you get to that, not where you're sprinting up the mountain, but you can walk up the mountain. Like I went on the North America's tallest water slide when I was at the water park on my cruise with my family. And I went with a couple that was with us who had a daughter, my daughter's age. And so she went with me and we climbed you have to walk all the way up. There's no elevator. Yeah. So you're taking stairs. So she had to stop like 27 times. I was rocking and rolling.
Right. And you were rubbing it in her face too.
And I was a jerk about it, which makes sense. And I was just like, wow, I wish you were a little faster. It's kind of right. But I couldn't have made it 20 steps up those stairs I was able to walk the tallest staircase to the tallest, and I'm watching these other slides hoping like they were the ones that I was supposed to get on. Nope.
Yeah.
We just kept going further and further north.
Right.
That's exhausting.
Yeah.
But it was incredible that I could do that. And
Right.
so I never imagined a life where that was
But
possible for me.
You right. So, but and what you're saying,
Yeah.
and what we're saying is that you didn't get that.
That wasn't
on day
overnight.
two.
And that was
day
what I
two.
wanted
Mhm.
day two. And
Right.
so I understand the thinking, which is I wish I could do that day two, but you're not. And let's be honest about that.
Right.
It's okay.
So I think we've accomplished our goals. We've laid out
Nailed it.
this system, right? And we've said how this is going to help people. And now I think we start helping people.
That sounds
And
amazing.
I think we're done talking about this situation. I think next week let's just talk about supplements because that's kind of where we start. So we'll start bringing that in. And
Should I bring my saw palmetto?
You can bring. Why don't you bring your stuff? We can
I'll
look
bring
at your
my,
bottles.
look at my bottles.
Yeah.
We'll run through my bottles.
I'll
Once
bring mine.
you see my gastric bypass medicines,
I
I
think-
wanted to get you to make me. I told Neal,
No.
I was like, "Can you make me those vitamins that I get? Because I'll buy them from you." And he's like, "I don't even know half the crap
I
that's
don't
in
want
these
to. I
things."
don't actually.
There's like
leave your
8
vitamins at home. The
You should
gastric
see my
bypass
gastric
thing-
bypass meds. They're
No.
like the 6,000% of whatever the thing is. I take
Yeah.
it 4 times a day. I mean,
Yeah.
the stuff I'm on, Neal, it's
Yeah.
wild.
I know. That's a whole other discipline. You
Sure.
keep those at home.
I
I'll
will.
bring mine in.
Okay, good.
All right. So that's it for episode 2 of the
Woo!
podcast.
Nailed it.
Yeah, we did. So thank you so much for joining us. I'm Dr. Neal Smoller, holistic pharmacist. Please do us a favor. Share this podcast with your friends. Subscribe to it. Check out Off the Record. It's pretty dope.
It's hilarious.
And then, we'll catch you next week. Until next week, be well.